Thank you.
It's those reels when you see the friend that's like making the jokes that they would make in their friend group to a crowd, and they're like, "Oh, you're not taking."
Yeah. Hey, Kaylin, can I come over after work at 10 p.m. and do my dailies? Because I forgot to do my blessing of the moon.
Of course.
And I also, Kinsey and I agreed that I'm going to get Gaming on my free thing, so I'm going to do that today as well.
Mm-hmm. Kinsey's going to be shocked when she finds out who I picked.
Who?
I picked a second Jingling, so she'd be a C1, and I don't even have Chongyun yet.
Yeah, but lots of people use Jungling, but since you don't have a good ice character, I thought that was kind of dumb of you.
He'll come back around.
Bro, the ice characters are like so incredibly like useful.
I only want one of him right now.
Having a freeze team is like superior. I have Kokomi get bitches wet, and then I use Ganyu, Shenhe, and Ayaka, and they just start absolutely railing these people, and they're frozen. They can't do anything.
I got Fremnot, Twink Boy, Shenhe, and Chongyun.
Yeah, you do. Wait, so you basically have a little water team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mariah and I looked it up. I was gonna pick Chongyun, but she said that they come on the banner equally, and I want to get to C6 faster, and I know he'll come. I know I'll get him.
Kaylin, but you literally have Bennett. You should have got Chongyun.
Yeah.
I love my fire team, though. It's called Team Spicy, and both of them are on it.
I will say, Kaylin, on this particular banner, I've made 60 wishes. I've gotten Noelle twice. I've gotten who's the other one? Farazan, and then a book or a catalyst tool, and then a sword. I've made 60 wishes, and I have not gotten Gaming yet. So it's possible that you can make a bunch of wishes and still not get Chongyun on the banner.
Well, you know what? I'll get a better ice one eventually.
I made wishes to have the American woman, the one with the gun. And I never got her.
Y'all can doubt, but the Hoyoverse gods have been good to me. I'll get him.
Yeah, they've blessed Kaylin more than fucking enough.
Well, okay, I will say when it comes to 4-stars on the banners, like, so when Kave came out, when Yao came out, when all these brand new 4-stars were coming out, I would get them on, like, the second, like, pool. I would get the 4-star that I wanted. So
we both did with Gaming.
I tend to get 4-stars really easily that I want, but, yeah, sometimes
I'm on my 70th wish, by the way, folks.
Can't you just make the wishes today? Please.
I can do my dailies. I can try.
90 wishes, Kaylin. I looked it up, and you can go all the way up to your 90 before you get a 5-star.
Yeah, I will do it. It doesn't happen that often, though.
Who are you trying to get, Nahida?
No, I'm trying to get my pity out of the way.
Yeah, she's due for a pity.
And I'm like, hit me, gods, hit me now.
This banner's lame too.
Dude, you don't understand. I thought I was doing this with Navia. I was like, let me get it out of the way, and I made wishes, and then they said, here you go.
So is Navia an event banner, or is she a standard?
She's an event.
Event, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Kaylin, you got time. You don't want any 5-stars from the next banner either. It's Zhao and I think Yao Miko.
Actually, I would rather do it just like the 4-stars. I like Gaming. I'd rather just keep doing it.
Yeah, because
whether it lands
really good on this one.
Nahida or early Yaimiko.
Yeah, sorry, Mariah. Yaimiko is actually super pretty, and she's actually a really great electro character.
I'm not disagreeing, but Kaylin told me she didn't care if she got her. That's why I said that.
Oh. All right, let's begin.
Bring us in.
I was saying if for free to play, I have food in my mouth. Free to play, and I introduced this last week. I don't care if I get her because I have Kuching. I mean, like, I won't die over it, but I would like her on my list.
All right. Welcome to Post-Credit Depression, where we talk about this week's hyperfixation. My name's Kinsey, and my fun fact is that I like to be mean to men.
Your fun fact is also that you do the intro a little different every time.
Yep, don't ever ask me to do it right.
My name's Mariah, and my fun fact is that I got a bunch of new clothes this week.
She also got a new job.
Yeah, I got to quit my current shit job.
Woo, that's the biggest one.
Woo.
My name is Kaylin, and I'm building my first Commander deck, MTG. and my commander will be Voja, the Jaws of Conclave. It's going to be a elf wolf token deck, just in case anybody was wondering.
That's magic cards for any people like me who wouldn't know what that was if you just said that.
Yeah, some token swarm shit.
Magic tricks, guys. It's Magic the card game, Magic the Gathering, for people like me who also thought she did magic.
That's why I said NTG. That's what Magic the Gathering. Yeah.
Normies don't know that, dude.
Yeah.
I'm normie.
And I have a magic card that I keep in my wallet at all time. Kayla gave me a sleeve for it. It's a locket.
I did.
So.
Also, for somebody that hates math, basically the kind of deck I'm building is just all you're doing is adding and multiplying. Like, that's all you're fucking doing. I don't know why I'm building this.
Just making a wolf army. That's all you guys need to know.
Yeah.
That you'll never be able to
It's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool.
Well, I'm like the top in the state.
Oh my god.
What did Mariah just say?
Sorry, Kayla knew what I was talking about. I can't.
She's making a reference to a person with a big ego.
It's okay, Kaylin.
What's up, man?
What'd you?
I'm eating macarons.
What did you show us this week?
I showed you guys the award-winning film Parasite from 2020. It won a bunch of awards.
Mm-hmm.
Won Best Picture. It won Best International Film. It won a Best something else too. But all I know is I watched it and I thought it was really good, and I had a fake memory of watching it with Kinsey, but Kinsey's never seen it before.
In another universe, you watched it with Kinsey and you were just getting visions from that time.
Mm-hmm. This could be us. Well, I wanted to just like kind of hop in. I feel like enough to talk about, like, you know, with the characters, as well as like what we personally think as to, like, you know, the real life kind of reflections that the movie could have.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely want to touch on like the cinematography, because like that shit, like there's moments that it literally just had me like in a chokehold, like for real. But we could just start with just like overall thoughts.
Okay, so obviously the movie was very uncanny. They did that on purpose from like the beginning. You were really uncanny. I liked when Colin was like, I could see why this movie's called Parasite. But like we were literally like a layer into the film when he said that. Which I found very interesting, because there were definitely levels to this Parasite theme that they were showing us. And it didn't start with just the main characters. Like, it was the main characters, the characters after that, the characters.
And then there was a stink bug in the house, like really foreshadowing all of it. And then there was like an exterminator, which, like, oh my god, that foreshadowing is also crazy. I love the way you worded that. That was beautifully worded. I was gonna say the same thing, but you honestly said it better than I was gonna say it. Like, when you think about that too, because like the stink bug was in the house, and he's like, let the exterminators like come in, you know, it'll clear out the house. And you think about these like bugs that were living in this house and how, you know, they were killed off by the smoke. And I just like, it's interesting, like, because that was like foreshadowing. That's not even the first layer, but then the first layer, you think it's about something, mm-hmm. and then it like just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
To an extent, the rich people are a form of parasite. Oh, hi Bean! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Hi Bean! Like, even the rich people that are succeeding, like, you can still see them as a form of parasites in their own regards of how they're living life. And I just think it was a really good metaphorical film, and they did it very like well. Overall, I really did enjoy the movie.
I almost want to know like more about, like, I think one more layer is if they could have like added some sort of like literally as small as the stink bug, but like foreshadowing on maybe how the rich gets their money and maybe not the best ways. Like, maybe they could have shown like on his way up the stairs there was like some factory workers or whatever, or like, you know, workshop shit.
I already see rich people as like fucking scums too, so like,
yeah, I think it's already a given, but I feel like it could have, because like I feel like under the like wrong person watching this, like, and not understanding, like, they might think like, oh well, you know, he was just a businessman, like, you just, you know, well, you know, that was an ungodly amount of rich, like, if you could just casually, like, I don't know, afford that much stuff.
Do you want to know my opinion?
Of course, that's why I asked.
That's why I asked. I really liked the movie. I really liked the parasite symbolism that we were talking about. I also kind of viewed like the rich people as the parasite as well, though, because they really benefit from the lower class, like,
That
doing
is
so
true.
badly. Like, they're parasite in the way of, like, they suck up all the money, like, you know what I'm saying? In the area that they have so much to use it with, while there's people that are literally struggling to feed themselves and house themselves, you know? But obviously, I definitely think the main symbolism with the parasite, uh, like, story was definitely how quickly they had infiltrated that house and they were, like, sucking off of, like, a very prosperous family. But, I liked this movie because I didn't like anyone in the movie. Like, I understood why the, main characters were doing what they were doing, but I did feel like they got to an extent where they got too greedy, and Kayla and I talked about this a little bit, like, when people randomly get, like, a large sum of money and they don't know how to act, and they start, like, spending it all or, like, going
Or
fucking
gambling it
crazy.
back. Like, let's say they just won, like, a lottery winning, and they take all of it back into the lottery. They put it all back.
Yeah, I felt bad because that did feel a little bit like not their fault because of their lack of money in their life, but at the same time, like, I just didn't like their behavior, what they were willing to do to get it, like, to
Yeah,
ruin
they
other
started
people's
crossing
lives.
lines when they started fucking with other people's jobs. That's when I think that they
Yeah.
started getting some bad karma.
Well, Mariah had said she was like, "The Rock feels like it brought bad luck," but I wanted to disagree, which now I think she agrees with me, so I'm not trying to, like, throw her under the bus. I think The Rock did bring them wealth and prosperity. I think that they didn't handle it well. I think they got their, like, the tutoring opportunity was the wealth opportunity, which coulda totally led down some really wonderful, places for them to earn money in a more, like, hardworking way,
Yeah, the
but
son was
then
like, "This is a job to get money to get me to school." That's literally what his goal was going into it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then, like, even when they had the sister come in, I was already turned off because I didn't like how she was lying about taking care of this child, you know? I thought that was, like, a love like, you're preying on somebody's fear of their own child's health and safety. I didn't think that was really cool.
Yeah, and they got
Mhm.
a hand, like, they never seemed satisfied. Like, even when all of them had jobs, they still were like, "We're gonna use this people's house while they leave on their trip." Like, they
Yeah,
never
and the mom said, "If I had this much money, maybe I'd be nice."
Oh, I did not like the mom. Holy shit.
Wow,
like
you're bringing up so many good points, like, what were you saying, Mariah?
there was just never really a point where they felt like, "Yeah, we did it." Like, they just always wanted more and more and more and more, and it's like, at this point, okay, you guys scammed everyone out of their jobs, like, Kayla and I talked about it, like, when the lady showed up towards, like, the climax of the film, why couldn't you have just let her do her thing? You already got her job, you already are getting so much more success than what you should have gotten to begin with, and they just never seem to feel
W
full.
well, they did slip down the stairs, so I feel like if they wouldn't have
Well,
slipped
even
down the
before
stairs.
that, the mom should just peacefully let her go, do her thing.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
her keep her husband in the basement and take she even offered money, like, that would've been money for y'all. But I think that they were being so greedy, I bet they were like, "Oh my god, there's, like, somebody else preying on this family when I wanna be the only one that gets the entire cake." I also think The Rock, for me, feels like or not a rose quartz, a clear quartz, which, the symbolism with, like, manifestation in clear quartz is that it manifests all the energy of the other rocks around it. So, like, if you pair clear quartz with any other rock, it almost magnifies its energy for manifesting or whatever you're trying to get. So I feel like this rock, whatever sort of energy they were putting into it was karma. Like, if they were putting in good energy, they would have got wealth, but they started being bad, and so the rock said, "No, like, you're gonna get exactly that wealth, that greedy ass wealth you're trying to get, you're gonna get it back. You're gonna get a knife in your back or a
Um,
knife in your
the
chest."
scene where they're in the house and they're laying underneath the coffee table and they're trying to get out and the father's dragging himself across the floor was giving such cockroach vibes. Like symbolically, like I was like laughing at the way the
Like,
cinematography.
scattering.
Yeah, like they were scattering from the light, like I thought it was such good cinematography for sure.
Yeah, and their dirty ass feet. Um,
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting that the directors chose to bring up their smell so often, and the first we kinda see it is right there, and, he's like his smell crosses the line, like, he's fine driver, he almost touches the line a little bit when he's, like, talking to me, but, like, it's his fucking smell, he smells like, basically poor.
Yeah. That was really hard for me. I felt really bad hearing him say that about Mr. Kim because it's like, if Mr. Kim does his job, like, why are you saying that about him? You don't know, like, where he comes from, and, like, he obviously is not as well off as you, you know? It was giving very much, "I don't give a fuck about you as a person."
Mhm. I do know that the son brought it up first, saying that they all smelled the same, but the son never said, like, "Oh, they smell bad," because I will say, like, for example, and this is just my history, I've never liked the smell of cigarette smoke, but there's this leftover tobacco smell, like, for example, my grandpa's truck smelled like it, parts of his truck smelled like it. It didn't smell like it is the smell of smoke being stuck to your clothes, but, like, I was distant from that smell for so long, and then I remember getting into a coworker's truck one day that they were taking me home, and it smelled like it, and it took me back to, and not like a, "Oh, this truck stinks," but, like, that smells like my grandpa's truck, and it's like, it does stink, but also there's, like, a different level of, like, if that's where I came from, and, like, let's say my family's smoking around me, and then I have that left over on me, I'm going to school smelling like that, you know?
Well,
And I
I
just think it's
actually
not at your place to judge, you
that
know, like, a kid or someone.
that scene had really bothered me because besides the fact that it was really fucking rude of them to say, I grew up with 2 chain smoker parents that would smoke in the house, so my things have always smelled like smoke. If you shut my closet right now and you open it up after, like, a period of it being shut, it will still smell like smoke. And it's not because we had smokers living beneath us, Kaylin, like, my stuff has always smelled like smoke, and it's something I'm
Mhm.
very, very, insecure about, and when I was in high school, people would tell me all the time that I reeked of cigarette smell, and it, like, was just really hard to hear because it was not
It's not
from.
something you could run away from at the time, and it's something
Yeah.
that still lingers even to now, because the truth is it is a part of you're smelling yourself.
I just
It
wanna
is a
know.
part of our past, like, that's where we came from, and the thing is we can keep grinding and working hard and trying to manifest better life, you know, a better financial security for ourselves, and eventually, you know, we might be able to replace some of those things, but, like, we can't erase that kind of history that made us into who we are and that background. And I think that film, like, covers it so well. And, like, even the entire, like, poverty stricken area of where the family lived, when it got flooded, the mother the next day was like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy it rained. Like, it's a perfect day for a party. Like, you know, thank God for the rain. Like, the sky's so clear now." And, like, it just goes to show that, like, you know, we what the rain could do good for one person might literally flood and ruin somebody's entire life.
Mhm. Yeah, that actually that whole, like, sequence of events was, like, really hard to watch because this whole movie, you kinda, like, wanna hate the main characters for
Yeah.
how greedy they're being, but, like, it's like this love-hate relationship where, like, I know why you're that way because you come from, like, a lot of, like, rough background, and I feel really bad about it, and, like, the just seeing what she was saying in the car and all that stuff was really sad when he had to sleep in a gym the night prior, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. So, if there's, like, nothing else we can think of off the top of our head, we can, like, maybe talk about, like, certain plot points, like, um, we already talked about, like, the infiltration pretty much, and then, like, I think I wanna start where the nanny shows up because that's where things, like, really turn. Like, I feel like the beginning's so simple, like, yeah, they all, like, kind of sneakily, shadily, like, referenced each other and got in, but then, like, there's just something off, like, the acting, the cinematography, the audio, I was just, like, I had chills, and, like, I hadn't seen this movie in years, and some parts I forgot, like, I forgot why she was going down in the basement. Like, that's how long it's been since, like, I just didn't
Oh
remember
my
what was in the
god.
basement. I know, and I was like, "Oh my god, somebody's about to fucking die."
She opened up that shit so casually, guys. Like, she's like, Hold on, let me get down to the cellar." Like,
Yeah,
straight
but
up,
she was
it's like,
clearly, like, doing it so regularly because she lived there, right? They said the nanny, like, lived within the house.
yeah, but the cellar was green and scary and dark and had, like, stains on the walls, and I was just like, "Is she" I genuinely thought she was gonna kill the new nanny. I thought she was gonna, like, maybe she just knew of this cellar and was like, "Let me lure her down here and, like, kill her."
Kill her ass.
And it's creepy because the nanny was doing basically the same thing that they're doing, you know, like, they are living off of these rich people's land and food and money to the same extent that the nanny was living
But
off
you know what? I'll
with
be
her
honest,
husband.
I liked as people, I liked the nanny and her husband as people way better than this family. And
They
it's
have too much
because,
more respect.
yeah, that they knew not to cross the line, and the thing is like in this system, this world of like the rich using people, like they're like, let's just use the rich people, but like let's do it in a way that benefits us. They're running away from their problems, the loan sharks, and their life of being poor, and they just get to eat for free, rent free. She works. It was a good setup, but then they had to come and step on some toes, and I think that they had everything coming. Like as soon as they started crossing lines and jeopardizing other people's lives when they're just trying to make it in this world, it's survival of the fittest, then natural fucking selection. Like, I'm a come for your ass because I'm trying to get these resources and you're coming for me. Like, it was just, that's where the family fucked up, and that's when that rock like gave them bad karma.
Bro, I knew the moment that family was acting up on that camping trip and it just kept raining and raining and raining, I knew that family was going to show up any minute. And I was just like, y'all trashed the house. You're acting like bugs. Like, you guys look hit right now. Like, what are you doing? Wouldn't you be prepared just in case? What if they forgot something? What if they need to stop back?
What if they didn't call on the way back? Literally, what if they didn't want you to make dinner? Maybe they're like, let's eat out, and then came home.
In that moment is like they were living in that house, and that was a whole different extreme. Like they could have had a better way to go about taking advantage of them without fully. I would never do that if I was house sitting. Be like, guys, let's have a house party right now, like because you just don't ever know.
Yeah, they definitely got way too greedy, and then yeah, I think they definitely killed the nanny when they pushed her down the stairs. Like, she said she had a concussion and then didn't get to the hospital. So I think the husband downstairs had watched her died and then was watching her body rot. And, I think he was already insane from the lack of sun and just like not being able to leave or go anywhere. Because like people are out to get him. But I don't think that he was like a killer. I think he had the makings to potentially be a killer, but that pushed him over. Like,
his goal wasn't to be like a killer or a bad person or anything like that. He was like, this man lets me live here and I respect him, blah blah blah, and I do these things to show respect, which was goofy, but like, that was his thing. He was like, I'm glad that I can do this, and he was willing to live life however he had to be to live there.
Mm-hmm.
But like, obviously, when you see the only person that's taking care of you die in front of you because of other people are being disrespectful, because the guy in the basement was like, I respect the people who live in this house. Where
yeah,
clearly
at the end of the day,
family had no respect for them.
And like, do I respect these mega rich people? No. But if I was in the position that, basement man was, where loan sharks were after me, I would actually really respect the fact that I was able to live safely and not be killed by these loan sharks,
It's like a different kind of respect. It's like working for a corporate. Like, I talk to my boss now. I'm like, do I agree with things Diane wants me to do or says? No.
Cut her name. Boop.
Yeah. Let me write that down. But at the same time, I'm like, you are part of a system, and there are things that you have to do to be a part of the system. But I respect you that you allow me to do what I want to do that falls within that bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think it formed from like Kinsey's version of like, I'm happy I get to live here and be safe, to he's not getting any sun, to he started idolizing this person. And then if you notice at the end, he's like, I respect you so much, and this dude's like, ew, what the fuck? Like, obviously, understandably, he's like, there's a killer in my backyard, but at the same time too, he's like completely disgusted by him.
Can we talk about how the son walked down there with the rock thinking he was gonna do something?
I know.
What the fuck?
And like, he went down there, first of all, okay, I'd be nervous too. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna go down there knowing that this man most likely is gonna fight you to the death, I feel like all of us knew that in the audience. Well, I wouldn't go if I felt that nervous. I'd wait to come down with my father or something, because
time and place.
Like,
I thought it was interesting they were gonna try a peace offering, because I think either way he would have killed them. Like, you just killed my wife, and I think he was like clinically insane. I think the only plan that would have worked out in the end was Mr. Kim's plan. I'm not saying it's the right thing. It's the only plan that would have worked in the family's favor. And that is to do nothing. He was going to let them both die in the basement, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that that would have secured them their jobs. They still would have like been able to live life. So I think it's interesting that different family members had different approaches because the daughters wanted to make peace. The dad said, let's do nothing. And the son's like, I'm going to go fight them. For why?
Yeah,
For
and,
why?
like, you see how it all turned out, like, technically, Mr. Kim was right. It was in their best interest to just let them die. If we're talking about them and them wanting to secure their jobs and shit like that, like, they're already bad people, basically, you know? And it's like,
They would have to become
what
killers.
I wanted to know was if the son was gonna kill him anyways downstairs, why did he wanna do it himself? Why would he not just have let them die of natural like, starvation, shit like that?
I
Like,
don't even know for sure if the son, like, his main goal was to kill them. I think that, in a way, curiosity got to him. He's like, those people are still down there, and I need to know what the hell is happening. Like,
but
I
then
need a
why did he
plan,
bring the
and the
rock?
only way to do that
Yeah,
is to figure something out. Like, he was like, is the woman dead? Is she still alive?
Well, then
because
why did he
You
bring the
know, I'm worried
rock?
about them. Like, he had too many
maybe
questions.
for defense.
And yeah, and because he saw this rock as like such a good like security like omen for him. Like
But
every
he
time he
used
brought it with him, like good things happen. So he's like, I'm gonna bring this rock with me just in case it's my like lucky like figure. And I don't think the boy had a plan. I think that he just needed some answers before he made a plan.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I just got chills. Things are clicking. So he brought the rock out of this place of safety. Like, I will be fine as long as I have this rock with me. But deep down, he's like, if I have to use it as a weapon, I will. And remember what I said about the rock? It's karma. So with those intentions put into the rock, it got thrown back at him
Yeah,
literally 3 times as hard. But then at the end of the movie, I was like wondering why he put it in the river. I was like, oh, he just doesn't want it anymore because it's a curse. But I think he put it in the river to cleanse it, to cleanse the energy that was in the rock. And I just got chills over that. I literally have goosebumps.
Yeah, that does make sense. Also, the reason I wanted to mention the dude getting absolutely fucked by the man in the basement. Miss Girly Pop, I don't know her name, Miss Daughter, who was like crazy about her tutor. She's like, honey, where are you? She was die hard for him. She put him on her back, walked up the
Mm-hmm.
stairs with his bleeding, fucked up, hemorrhaged ass body, walked outside with him. Like, I was like, girl, you are on some other ass level. Like,
Well,
she's
you know for sure after the police found out everything, like the family was lying and everything, not only the mom, like, obviously was like, no, we're not seeing them anymore, but like the daughter was like, fuck, your dad just killed my dad.
true. But also,
Also,
I feel like
oh,
because she
sorry.
was crazy, like, she was so into him, she carried him up the stairs all bloody. Like, I feel like she would've been one of those girls being like, "We can work it out."
I don't
Like,
think she was really into him. I think she was into the idea of him and like this rebelliousness that came with
oh,
him.
I
She
don't think she
also was
loved
like
him,
into
guys.
the
I'm
other
saying,
guy.
like, her level of craziness seems like from, like, a horny teenage perspective, not actual love,
Yeah.
okay?
So I was telling Mariah that I think that the other tutor, the first tutor who referenced him, I think he got in a load of trouble too. Maybe not legal, but I bet you the mom was so angry that he lied about the first boy being a reference.
Oh, you mean at the end of the movie, like,
Yeah,
he
like, cause
probably
think
got in
about it.
trouble?
Her husband's dead. Okay, they moved out of the house clearly, but like there was an investigation. They found out because obviously when you do an investigation, you got to get people's addresses, their IDs, and they found out the whole unit was a family. And I'm sure once the mother found that out, that the murderer to her husband is the father of the tutor that was recommended, who doesn't even have a degree, didn't even go to school with this man, like, and was referenced by the other tutor. Maybe he even got investigated when you word it like that. Like, I bet you he
Yeah.
did get investigated. Like, dude, why'd you let these people in? Like, did you know that they were gonna kill people? What was up?
Yeah, that actually makes sense because he's the whole reason it happened.
Which is so fucking rude, like, for him to try to better his friend's life, which I know he did it out of self-interested reasons too, like, "Hey, I know you're not gonna fuck around with this girl," but he still was like, "Let me extend this wealth." He gave him the wealth rock.
He gave him the opportunity. He said, "I have this reference to help you out. Also, I wanna go out with this little girl." Well, I don't wanna say it that way. "I wanna go out with this girl when she's in college," um, which also I think is really weird, by the way. But still, that was his premise, and his homie didn't just take his job and, like, essentially ended up being liked more by the woman. He also took his future girlfriend, which I thought was
I
really
know, so
whack.
quickly too. I was, like,
It
surprised,
was quick.
and
I was like, "Wow, you clearly are not this man's real friend."
The journey of The Rock throughout the movie, like, now that I'm talking about it with you guys, like, obviously, when I'm watching it, I'm like, I know it's got, like, presence and meaning, but I love talking about it.
Yeah.
The fact that it was gifted to him by that same friend, he's like it was almost like you're right, like, when you said the word opportunity, him bringing The Rock in was literally a symbolism of this opportunity, this, like, endless, like, if you put good out into the world, you could get good back, which I'm not saying that as in that works for getting out of poverty. I'm just saying in this instant for this family, they had a way out, but they started using The Rock and this opportunity, like, too greedily and too much to their advantage, and The Rock obviously, like, you fly too close to the sun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's crazy that, like, that was literally, like, The Rock's presence. It was an opportunity, and then it ended up in the river to be cleansed because of all the shit that had went down.
Well, yeah, and I think The Rock continuously was an opportunity. Like the guy killing the like trying to kill the boy with it. Like it just was a whole metaphor throughout the film.
Mhm.
I had told Kaylin, we talked about how Mr. Kim killed the guy. I was like, I knew that motherfucker was gonna die. The second he was talking about his smell in the movie, I was like, he's gonna kill him. I don't know when or how, but he's gonna
Oh
snap.
my god, I did not think that. You were crazy.
I just
Well,
did because like
his
the way
face,
you
he
could
looked
just
like
tell
he
it
was
was
about to snap.
rubbing them the wrong way. What?
Mr. Kim's face, like, he looked like he was about to snap, like, when
Yeah.
this man was talking about his smell, because at the end of the day, Mr. Kim was still doing his job, and it was something that he couldn't help. He couldn't help that he smelled that way. They don't even notice the way they smell because, bitch, I don't even know the way I smell. So, like, the fact that this rich man was going into ass deep about this man's smell, something he can't, like, control, I could see why Mr. Kim would be that pissed off about it.
Yeah, he was going in. Like there was no reason for him to talk about it to the depths that he did. And you
I
could
will
tell
say
every time it was brought up, Mr. Kim was a little more irked each time.
and this isn't to the same degree of Mr. Kim and, like, all that, but, when I worked at Costantino's, and I've smelled the smell, like, about twice in my life, and it's a very sad thing because you know that, like, the situations that they're coming from is not good, but particularly it's a mixture of cigarettes, alcohol, and not bathing ever. Like, and that usually is from, say, a homeless person, but it literally is a smell that, like, when this one customer would come in, I would, as subtly as I could, hold my breath because I would start coughing. It was so intense, and it would, like, I could smell it coming from the line, and when they were right there in front of me, it was just so much, like, aroma coming off, and, I mean, that's not just, like, somebody's natural body scent or, like, some c cigarettes left on, like, a kid's clothes going to school, like, it can get intense, but there's, like, what judgment is there? Like, I mean, that person's probably just not coming from a good place or mentally
Yeah,
maybe
like,
needs help.
whenever that happens, I don't actually judge somebody, like, their character for that. If anything, I'm just like, "Dang, I can't help that my nose doesn't like that smell, but there's nothing wrong with you." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's sad because, like, it's like, if you just stop to think, like, even me as a cashier at the time, I could stop to add up all those things, like, okay, he probably doesn't bathe, he's probably homeless, he's got, like, a lot of layers on, he probably spends a lot of time outside and not really, like, have a chance to shower that, like, aroma, that filth off, and it just does make me sad that for Mr. Kim to just, like, not even, like, question, like, "I just don't like his smell." Like, yeah. He's good at his work, but, that smell crosses the line. I don't know if I could, like, you're gonna potentially fire somebody just because, like, you can't even have empathy for their situation. Because the thing is like, I do know that they claim to work for a prestigious company, but, like, he drove perfectly fine. Good enough for your standards. What's it matter if he works for a prestigious company or you think, like, he smells like he comes from a poor area?
Hey, yeah, that's crazy. Also, like, I liked how I don't like when they actually kill characters off because it's sad, but, like, for the plot, I do, and I really felt like killing the daughter was, like, necessary, you know?
Tell me why.
I think it was necessary because, first of all, they ruined people's lives. Like, they ruined the driver's life, the housekeeper's life, technically the housekeeper's husband's life, you know? So when he showed up out of that basement ready to kill, he just watched his own wife die because of their selfishness. that it made sense in the plot wise that they would get their karma back and one of them would severely end up paying for it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I also would like to point out, now that you're bringing up that karma, I would feel like out of all of them, the daughter was the least involved, and so it was when it came to the nanny really did nothing wrong out of the driver. Like, the driver didn't do anything wrong either, but like she was like showing up, she did her job, she had no reason to be fired.
And she
And
got killed, bro.
yeah. And then that night they scattered like cockroaches. The daughter, like, besides helping them wrestle for the phone and shit, she didn't really do anything. She didn't push the nanny down the stairs. She didn't, she didn't really do anything out of all of them. If anything, she wanted to make peace. The mom pushed the nanny down the stairs. The son went downstairs with a rock. Mr. Kim was willing to let them die. The daughter was the only one who really, like, didn't do anything to them. So to have, like, that rock kind of project that energy onto the family and pick the one that had the least to do with it, it makes you feel bad because you're like, oh my God, she wanted to, like, make peace. Like, why her? But, like, that's karma.
Yeah, also, I was really turned off by the scene when they were in the living room and they were talking about, we should own this house. Like, this will be your sister-in-law's house. And then they turn to the daughter and they're like, this could be your house because we know that he doesn't love his wife. I was like, damn. Like, first of all, y'all are going to push your daughter into a relationship with this man just to have his money. And you're going to kick out the woman who's been hiring you this entire time. I was like, damn, guys, that's whack.
I thought the mom, when it came to niceness, was the nicest character. Like, I didn't even see her,
the rich
mom.
Yeah,
I didn't
the
see
other mom
she was
not.
like, for example, like, she was very trusting, which is a good quality. Obviously, they took advantage of that, but she was like, "Oh my God, you know someone? Yeah, I'd love to meet them for sure."
Yeah.
She was worried about her son's health and safety, which, like, when you bring up the fact that Jennifer did that, I'm like, you're right. Jennifer did cross that line, like, taking that money for this woman, thinking that it would help her son. Kinsey, I was talking to her earlier. She brought up a good point, because I would say that, like, in the sense of this entire film, that the kid, obviously, he has the innocence of a child, like, he is just a kid, but in the sense of the family and the plot, she was bringing up the dynamic that they were so strict on the daughter and so hard on her, and that they let this kid go buck wild and do whatever he wanted, without, like, what's it called, any consequences. And the daughter early in the movie brings up how, like, he's faking it. Like, she's like, he doesn't need mental help. Like, he's fine. Like, if they actually just disciplined him too, he would be fine.
Yeah, so I was mentioning that there was very blatant misogyny going on because right before they went camping, the father was enjoying watching his son irritate his daughter. And when you look at the way that he treats his wife, where he's like, "Yeah, I love her. We can call that love." He clearly doesn't respect his wife and or her happiness. By the way, she was sleeping and looked drunk as fuck at the beginning of the movie when Kevin meets her outside. Remember the
That's
housekeeper
like
had
a
no,
normal thing.
like, she looked fucking
Oh,
depressed.
yeah.
She clearly isn't happy in her life. So then for the father to treat his daughter like that, I got bad vibes right from the beginning. I said, you don't respect women. You see them as placeholders. You see them as objects to
That was a
have your
good
children.
detail you picked up. I didn't even think of that.
There was a couple of scenes where the mom was, like, clearly intoxicated and asleep.
Like, she wasn't okay because she's
Oh,
not
and
being
remember
treated well.
when they were doing some diddly stuff on the couch and she said, "Buy me drugs"?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, also needs like, put those girls' panties on. It'll make me super hard. Why? Is it because you're fucking other women like that when you're not at home?
Yeah.
Like, after watching Handmaid's Tale, dude, like, I was just kind of like seeing, left and right, like, behavior that he's not faithful to her,
Yeah.
what he finds attractive, and then what he even values in women. And you're seeing him treat his daughter the same way. So I hated that bitch. And I felt so bad for the mother. Even if she was a little trusting, a little naive, she clearly wasn't happy in her own life.
Yeah, it was very clear that they were not happy. They were not in a good, happy relationship, and on both ends of the spectrum.
And the son was a product of literally being given anything the fuck he wanted, and he
Yep.
was a psycho, crazy little kid.
Yeah.
No discipline, nothing.
I mean, even
Yeah.
just seeing the daughter, like I said, like, she was clearly rebelling when she was like, "I'm gonna make out with my tutor and, like, do this and this," because nobody was acknowledging her.
Nobody was giving her attention.
Did you guys know that in big CEO companies in Korea, like IRL, when like CEOs of companies have daughters that they, just like in old times, they're used as like almost like a marriage devices, like let's partner with this company, and they get literally married off to other CEOs, like just like kings and queens marrying princesses off to princes. It was not. And there's like one story I heard of this girl who just married her bodyguard because they were in love. It didn't work out, by the way, so like he was ended up being abusive, but her story was really interesting because she came out of that system, because by the time she had divorced her abusive husband, because she didn't marry somebody with like a ton of money or with a big name, she was her own like really big name boss and didn't have to give away her power to another man.
Damn.
Because she chose to marry a bodyguard instead, which was not normal when you were the daughter of a CEO. I forget her name and I probably should reference her.
Yeah, I had beef with the family for sure. I thought the daughter was a cool girl. I felt bad because she clearly looked like super neglected, depressed, treated like
Yeah, the
shit.
daughter didn't. She's like, you didn't even offer me the food before you ate it all.
Yeah, so like that's also showing just like how negligent the mother is. I mean, I feel bad for the mother because she's in a marriage she doesn't want to be in, but she's not being able to show up as a mother, So it is what it is. But I liked seeing how both families were honestly really fucked up.
Well, that's again just showing this whole metaphoric of like the parasite. Like it wasn't just like a normal person, just like they like fed off the rich, but like there's so many symbolic examples of people being parasites in their own being. It's like obviously we hate the rich, eat the rich type deal, but like even in that situation, they're still showing that trickle down of it all, just having levels and levels and levels of it.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to bring up like, okay, they had that final conversation, which I'm so bad when it gets right to a climax, and so they're about to foreshadow some shit. But they were in the bushes, two fathers, and he asks again, like, do you love your life? And he's like, basically in a very disrespectful way, he's like, focus, this is your job. Let's have fun with my son. Like, it was like a very intense, and I was like, I didn't know if there's anything else I was supposed to take away from that moment.
I think in general, like when I would look at Mr. Kim's relationship to the rich dad, it was very much like, I'm only respecting you because I need something from you. And when he would disrespect him, I took it as a power play. I took it as like, I know who you are and how you treat your wife. Like you should respect me in a sense, if that makes sense. Like
yeah, that's actually a good point.
It took it like he'd ask the question, putting him on the spot like that, like, do you love your wife? And the rich dad would get so flustered, like he'd get so upset because he didn't know what to say. And I think Mr. Kim was trying to have some sort of power dynamic with him. I don't know how it would eventually benefit him, but just something to like, be like, just because I'm poor doesn't mean you can boss me around, but sure, I'll listen to you, but I fucking hate you. It was like the most subliminal way of saying like, fuck you, fine, I'll do it, So
yeah.
You're my boss, like, you should still respect me even though I'm below you.
Yeah, I think it was also him trying to be like, treat me better, you should be treating me like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that scene happened right before the snap, because like it puts already this like, like you said, this, you already don't respect me and I am just a tool to you, like a commodity that you're paying for. You don't really respect me in any sense when you don't even love your wife, and like why are you so big-headed about it? And then when the son, I understand that if you go into shock it can be life-threatening, but I will say the son also, he fainted. The other girl got stabbed in the fucking chest, and I think that when the father was like yelling at Mr. Kim like, hand me the keys, like this, demanding like, we need to get my son to the hospital, not knowing that was his daughter laying down.
Because I told you, Keelan, he was like, Mr. Kim, we need to go, you need to drive me. That was the problem. It's not like he's like, hand me one of the keys, we can do both, like both are solutions, because they had multiple cars. He was just like, you need to go, we as a unit, Mr. Kim, you need to drive me to the hospital right now. That was my problem to begin with. He never once differentiated between
and he never yelled like, we need to call for an ambulance for this fucking girl.
Yeah.
They never
Mhm.
they literally didn't even look over at
Nope.
the daughter being stabbed, you know?
She was still alive.
Cared about them. He was just like, "We need to go right now. Come on, Mr. Kim. My son could die." Meanwhile, this girl's literally stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I think that that snapping point, like just this disrespect that like I am just a tool to you. You're not even looking at this woman on the ground. You are that selfish, that high horse narcissistic about being so rich that the poor aren't even like valuable to you. Like in the sense that like you don't even value their life.
You're
Now the
not
thing
even
is,
looking at this girl bleeding out.
Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is like in emergency situations, you never can truly plan them 100%. But the difference between like, say, some sort of shooting where it's kind of a free for all, we all got to get out, and you can't really stop for a stranger that there's difference between that and the killer was apprehended. Like the father had the power in his hands to do more. Like you said, even if it's calling the ambulance, like, hey, I'm calling the ambulance. We need to like get these people in a
I just
car.
don't know how you would walk out of a yard when there's a woman bleeding to death and not think to call someone.
Yeah.
You
Or
would
there's so
only
many
do
other
that.
rich people too that could have just like he could have been like, guys, let's get her in a car. Who's driving? Like, there could have been more done.
Yeah.
The daughter, even like that goes to show that the daughter, like, she stopped to go get somebody. Like his head was busted in. Even he looked dead to me. Okay, I'm sorry. Like,
He was dead.
and instead of her running away because there's a killer around the house, she even stopped to think like, let me help this person because she's a good person. She might be a little crazy, like for boys, boy crazy, but like,
Yeah. Yeah, she straight up picked that boy up and carried him, dog. I was like, I don't ship them at all, not at all, but I was like, "Damn, girl, I mean, you were down for your man, like, you were like, Imma help you." Like
mhm. So I knew he went to the basement right away, and then like they reveal like the whole he wakes up from a coma. They were arrested and put on trial, let go on parole, and they're like, where did the dad go? Like, when did it click for you guys that he was in the basement?
Honestly, I think I was so shocked by the fact that they were even let go on parole. My brain was somewhere else that I wasn't even thinking about where Mr. Kim was. I was like, "Wonder if he's okay. Why is he not talking to his wife? Blah 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 blah." Completely forgot about the bunker because I was like, I think because of how atrocious the event was, it like didn't cross my mind to stay on the scene because I didn't even think about the benefit of being in the bunker. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Also,
Like
the
he's
dead body would still be in there, by the way.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, he's down there with that dead body. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. You know what's crazy too is that, like, they keep referring to roaches in the movie and stuff, and, like, roaches don't die over nothing. So, like, the fact that these people are, like, able to survive no matter what, like, he's sitting in this basement with a literal decaying body if he hasn't gotten it out by now. Well, no, no,
Oh,
he said he
he
buried her.
Yeah.
He said
yeah,
he
but he
buried her.
waited for them to move out. Imagine, like, I mean, they probably didn't wait long. Imagine your husband just got fucking murdered. You probably collected some sort of life insurance policy. You probably have a different budget now. You're single mom of 2 children now. You can't probably afford a nanny. It's probably time to move and budget the rest of that money out. So she probably like packed up within like weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, like the fact that he's living in that close corners with a dead body is so bad for his body. Like
No,
when a
yeah,
body
and
produces a gas you're not supposed to breathe in.
mhm.
The whole situation's fucked up, but yes, no, I did not think he was in the bunker until he was, and "Oh, clearly if I had killed somebody and I knew I was gonna get arrested for it, if I didn't wanna be arrested, that would be a great backup plan."
You know
Yeah.
what was rude, Kayla, talked about when
What?
they showed the whole flash forward?
No,
I
I
was
was going to
like,
get to
wow,
that.
wow. I was like, what a great ending of the story. And then they showed what actually happened. I was like, that was not necessary.
Well, you know why looking back and reflecting upon it a few more days, like, I was like, oh my God, like, that could be a sweet ending, a happy ending. And then he was like, yeah, one day I'll buy that house. One day I'll get rich and buy that house.
I felt like the end of the movie actually I wouldn't necessarily say felt like an empty promise, it more so felt like a promise with much more stakes, like, "Hey, dude, you wanna know the real reality? You could buy the house, but it's gonna take a lot of work," and it was
I
almost
think
like
I was
when they
thinking of his
panned
character when he
down
Yeah.
When they panned down to his face and, like, the seriousness that he was back to where he started, but now without his father, I think it was focusing more on, like, these are the consequences of your actions. Your sister's dead, your father's stuck in a bunker, your mother's distraught, and now you literally have to not just go to school and do it like beforehand, had you had your family support, like their love. Now you're having to do a lot of it emotionally by yourself. And I like the open ending. Do you know if he's gonna succeed? Not necessarily, you don't know if he will or if he will not, but I think it was focusing on, like, just, like, the focus of now these are your consequences and you have a left or right decision to make. Which one are you gonna make? Because
That's what I think I meant when I was saying the word promise. I didn't mean like poor people. I meant that the world is kind of stacked against poor people already, and even when he was given a good opportunity, he didn't hold that promise that he made to his like family. I think I was mixing some of the words. I did not mean to say that, but yeah, he didn't keep that promise about like utilizing this opportunity, and they got too greedy. And what I mean by the likelihood of it, you're right. Now the odds are even more stacked against him. That like for me, I saw how quickly he switched up from the first opportunity. Now there were some detrimental permanent changes, like his sister is dead. So I don't know how that changed him as a person, and I know he cleansed, but like I don't trust his character with as quickly as he just gave up on certain things to be
I
able
don't
to
trust him either.
afford that house one day. Also, as just like probably what is he now like? I don't know if he's like what kind of things criminals can't like if they can't get certain jobs or if they like certain background checks now. Like your life just got a million times harder. So I think that your likelihood of keeping that promise to your dad is just stacked way against you.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
like emotionally when it ended, when that scene had ended, and then when I got the truth of how it ended, I was like, dang, like my emotions, like I thought that I would feel some different way, but I still feel the same like heavy emotions seeing them succeed versus seeing that he hasn't yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Like, I'm not saying I didn't like, let's say this was a real story. I obviously would want him to see his father one day, but after seeing the way that he handled a small opportunity that was gonna be really good for him financially, I was like, I still get bad vibes from you, and I feel like this was more so karma. I don't know what you did in your past lives to have this happen, but, like, you clearly have some energy to clean up.
So like, do you
Yeah.
think that the brother's going to that house now that someone else owns it and sneaking in to see his dad now that he knows he's there?
I think so. I would do it.
The thing is I'm sure there's probably some sort of I don't know, for example, one that's a stranger, and there could even be like some sort of like what's it called, restraining order, or like you can't go near that house again.
Yeah, but it's just a house. It's not like the people live there anymore.
What if it brings to suspicion, like, hey, I'm calling the police. That guy from several years ago, from this whole murder like scene that happened, was here, and we still can't find his father. Let's do an investigation. They find the bunker.
Yeah,
I think
he's
there's
obviously giving
so
him that
many
letter, so like
variables.
maybe he's just seeing him once.
There's so many variables because there's, like, I'm sure there's new cameras. I don't know anything about a restraining order, so, like, Imma pause on that convo, but, like, there's cameras, it's a whole new family. You don't know, like, their schedule. I mean, the dad did say that the father and mother are never really there, and the kids are, like, at some sort of schools. But even then, like, how comfortable does the father feel leaving the bunker at night? Like, would the father feel that comfortable to slip out of the house, or would he feel like he'd, maybe not be able to make it back in to get back in the bunker? Because if
Say
he
that
doesn't get back in time.
I'm risking my life.
Yeah, because like, if he doesn't get back into the bunker in time, people can find him and he's being sent straight to jail, you know? So, I don't know how he'd even feel leaving the house. And then, if that's the case, if he will never leave the house, how can the son, like, break into the house without access of the father, like, opening up the door or, like, turning off the cameras? Like, there's so many variables, you know?
How long after do you think until like you're wanted for murder? How long, like 20, 30 years in the future, do you just come out?
Oh, for me, I would just come out. You think I'm gonna sit in a basement talking to nobody forever? Like,
Well, like realistically, because this happens all the time. Even like now, there's people who are wanted for murder, and after so many years, the police just quote unquote give up.
no, I don't think they'd I think if they ever found this man, like, they would hold him accountable for
Yeah,
his
but we think
charges.
no, like after like 30 years, no one's thinking about him, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
here's
but
what
what
I'm
I'm saying
saying.
from his perspective, I would never make myself sit in that basement for 30 years. I'd rather be 30 years in prison with some people than
You know,
sit in
I
the
was
basement.
thinking, unless Korea has some sort of capital punishment, why not just go to prison when basically that bunker is a prison?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's true.
Like, you could
But
at least call your wife. Shit.
there could be capital punishment though. So that could mean that like if he turns himself
Yeah.
in, a lot of people no, a lot of capital punishment kind of will turn up a little bit like, "Oh, you killed a preschool of children, like you're going to get sentenced to death. Like you took lives, so you don't mind if we take your life," kind of thing.
That's
Like,
what I just said, though. Death.
okay, but I'm saying unless you're ready to just kill yourself or see what happens when you turn yourself in, like I would stay in the basement if I was afraid I was going to die, if I was afraid of that happening.
Yeah,
Let's
they
see.
have capital punishment. It says anyone, if you take someone else's life, you're punished by death or imprisonment for life.
Yeah, so it
Whoa,
could
I was just
happen.
about to look it up.
So, like, but that's still my thing. Like, there has to be, like, I don't want to say, like, a for sure timeline, but a timeline where, like, after so many years, I'm not saying you won't be arrested, but he already doesn't have people looking for him, people, like, a job, right? He's already, like, a poor guy. So, like, after 20 years, do you just, like, come out and you just live at your wife's house because they're not investigating your wife's house anymore? Like, the kid said that the cops stopped investigating him. They stopped following him. They stopped, like, investigating on the mom and the
Guys,
son, right? So after like 20 years, does the dad just come out and never leave his house? You know?
guys, I just looked up capital punishment. Okay, so first I said Korea homicide punishment. It says in Korea, murder is not categorized into first degree murder and second degree murder. According to the penal code, the sentencing range for murder is capital punishment or life imprisonment and not less than 5 years of imprisonment. So then I said, okay, well then what's capital imprisonment? Capital punishment. They said refers to execution by beheading, but executions are carried out by many methods, including hanging, shooting, lethal injection, stoning, electrocution, and gassing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Kenzie, when you Google just the word capital punishment, like all it simply means is taking someone's life by punishment. And that's probably just telling you didn't know it's telling you the history of it. Like, you know,
But that's what I'm
they
saying. Like
yeah,
I'm
they
saying, like
beheaded
Capital
uh
in the United States.
Marie Antoinette, you know.
I know.
We
I'm
used to
just
do
saying. I'm like
hangings
Jesus
here.
Christ.
That's literally what death row is. They
I
put,
know, but I'm saying I've never heard of the word capital punishment. So I
uh,
was like, okay, so what the fuck does that entail? Because I
Yeah.
just looked up. I said, what happens if you commit homicide in Korea? And they said jail time or capital punishment. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what is capital punishment? And it said literally death.
Literally death, yeah.
like that's my
Sorry, I didn't know you didn't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I would
sitting.
have
I'm like, guys,
explained it.
after like a 10, 20 years, because the cops stopped investigating the son and the mom.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Able to
Oh no, I was saying you had said like 20 years would he be able to go live in a house and just never come out?
yeah.
I was actually going to say I agree if the son maybe figured out like dad, I found a really secluded like house to live in, like I got acres of land, it has its own bunker if you ever need to just go downstairs and hide. I got cameras on the outside if cops just pull up. You can live in this house, you can like go see the sun.
I'm not even saying to that extreme. If Kinsey murders someone and she's hiding for the next 30 years, and I'm just living in a town that's not this town where the murder happened, like I'm in states away, living my life normally, and I'm like, Kinsey, I think you could just come and live in my house as long as you don't fucking leave or you change your identity or something. That's something people do.
Well,
yeah,
it is something people do. It's something people get away with, but not everybody gets away with it because there's sometimes, Mariah, murder cases that get solved
Yeah.
decades later. There was one I saw because I had my little crochet and true crime phase. There was this one where it was this man that killed families in the most sadistic way. Like, and he was a serial killer. He killed multiple different families,
Yeah.
and he left clues because they were fun, but because it was like I want to say what was it? It was like the 70s or maybe even earlier. They just didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
But they had DNA on file, and they're like the man who killed this. We have his DNA. You know how they found him? His daughter was going to college and did a volunteer blood test thing. Just cause like I think she donated blood or something like that. And it was her father. And they because they plugged her blood into the database and said that her paternal figure was the murderer.
wait, no,
Yeah,
but
that's like a very common thing, especially murders from like the 70s when we didn't have the science. They do that all the time. But I was just saying, in like this metaphorical, like, do you think the dad eventually comes out?
Yeah, in hiding, like I could see what you're saying. It could work, but maybe It just
It's a risk
depends
I
on.
would take. If I murdered someone and I was living in a bunker for 20 years and Kinsey was like, I got a home that you could live in that's pretty.
I would too.
I'd come out.
I would too.
I
It's
wouldn't
just you
even
gotta
wait
play your
10
cards right.
years. I'd wait
Arrest
10
me
years.
At 110 years, and I'm 100 years old, and they finally arrest me. I'll take it.
Like shit.
My
You
bad.
know, I think how I would want to go about it is like it's got to be just the right setup that's like secluded enough, but not too secluded. Because like if the cops just pulled up to me like in the middle of the woods, where am I going to go then? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be. There's got to be some escape routes to it. It's got to be good.
I feel afraid that we are speaking in terms of us running away from the government right now. Like my heart's racing and stuff. Like I can't think about this.
Okay. The government will collapse in our lifetime.
It will. Yeah, good movie. I really liked it. Didn't feel like 2 hours. It actually went by really quickly, and I thought it talked about some really good things.
Did you like this better than Squid Games or Squid Games better?
I like Squid Games better.
I think so too.
I think
Squid Games better, but Parasite had a lot of really good metaphors in it.
Yeah. I liked the metaphors in Parasite. I still liked the acting in Parasite. But in Squid Games, they had the cinematography, they had the acting. I felt like I saw some character redemption arcs in Squid Games, especially with the main character.
A better way of telling the story for the not as smart people.
Yeah, I felt like Squid Games showed a level, like they were showing poverty, but they were showing people who like are still righteous, or like they wouldn't kill somebody, for example, aka our main character. And then they were showing people in Squid Games that once they were given an amount of money, they stopped valuing life. And I liked how there was a spectrum of that. Like Ali was an amazing person. He wasn't going to just kill somebody willy-nilly. But in this movie, they really only focused on like how intense like they got when they got greedy with money,
Well, thank you guys for watching this with me. I'm happy that you guys enjoyed it. I remember when I watched it, I was like, wow, this was a nice experience, and I didn't want it to be too scary or weird or spooky, and I'm glad that you guys again just enjoyed the experience for what it was. Like it's not like there's crazy likable characters in it, but like it was still just a really well-made movie. Oh, I wanted to just mention some of the cinematography moments. I didn't mention them yet, but like there were moments where like when they would descend into the basement and it was like fully dark, or just like these really open shots of like the yard with the window and it's raining and there's this teepee. There was just like, I don't know, it made me feel something. Like it felt very intentional and artistry. Like it was some good shit.
It was.
Yeah, I think the cinematography was really good. I think they did a really good job of showing the way the movie played and the way they would cut certain things. And they did really good with like the lightings and stuff, the effects that they did with all of that combined.
Like the fucking man coming up from the basement when the little boy was eating cake out of the fridge, and you just see those white eyes. I couldn't sleep very well that night.
I know. I was like, oh my fucking god, that was intense.
Also, I can name at least two more movies about men who live inside the walls. So you could make a collection of movies about men that live inside the walls and you don't know about it.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed the movie, Kaylin. Thanks for showing it to us.
Of course. Kenzie, it's your turn this next week. What did you want to watch? I'm being joking. I'm sarcastic. I know it was not.
Damn, dude, I didn't fucking think about it.
It's not your turn. I was being a prankster.
It is Kenzie's turn.
No, we just did Sugar Apple Fairy Plum Pootie Princess.
No, we did Blue Period, and then we did Parasite, and now it's Kenzie's turn.
Oh my god.
Sugar
I
Apple.
also would like to try to record it again, like by like this time next week, so that we could be back on our regular schedule of like recording and then editing and recording and editing.
Got it, boss.
Wait, so you want to record on Sunday?
I would like to record before, like, by Sunday next week. That way I can, like, because right now I have to edit it literally tomorrow. So when we run late, it just causes me to have to do it all in one day. So I'd like to be like, we're uploading this Tuesday. So within the next week, from Tuesday to Tuesday, we record and then we upload and then we record. So we're not recording 2 days before we upload.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna get crazy.
Well, I'll figure out something.
Wait. Well, we gotta announce to the listeners what we're watching next week.
What?
Or it's your turn.
Like they have to know.
We always do. so that they can watch it too.
That's the style. Go look at your list. Where's your list?
Bro, I think I'm all out, bro.
Yeah, her list has a lot of longer stuff, and I'm trying to make it something that we're. You know what? I was talking to Kaylin. Kaylin's never seen Mean Girls.
Well, we were just talking about that. We should watch Mean Girls.
Okay, I'll watch Mean Girls. I'll make Colin watch it with me. I'll go by to the exchange because I was telling Colin a year ago, how come I've never seen Mean Girls? You know, he's like, we can watch it one day.
Dang. Well, I'm excited.
Me too.
Well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And then you guys stay.